John Rambo is at it again. Rambo Last Blood. I gotta say, I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It's a really great movie for us 80s kids, the generation who's been following Rambo for damn near the last 40 years. It was great. It was a lot of fun, a lot of bloodshed, huge body count, basically what you would expect from a Rambo movie. Now, I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm a die-hard Rambo fan. I really haven't watched much of it when I was a kid. I've only really seen 2 Rambo productions back in the 80s when I was a little kid. I watched Rambo 3 with my father, and I watched the animated series Rambo Force of Freedom, which, if you look at it, you'll probably think to yourself, man, this is a cheesy cash grab just to cash in on the fame that is Rambo. And it pretty much is. But this was a badass cartoon. There's a sequence in every Rambo cartoon where Rambo starts tying up his boots, he starts equipping himself with grenades and guns, he puts his signature knife into its sheath, and then he tops it off by tying on his red headband. And that scene, if that scene popped up, you knew shit was about to go down.
I'm about to whip somebody's ass.
But I digress. This movie brings back Sylvester Stallone as John Rambo. It's 11 years after the previous movie, Rambo 2008. Rambo has retired, he's fought his wars, he's done, he's ready to just live out the rest of his life on his ranch with his family. And by family, I mean his niece Gabrielle and her grandmother Maria. At a certain point in the story, Gabrielle finds out who her birth father is. If you watch some of the previous Rambos, I think they kind of hint on that. Again, this is kind of a continually evolving story with the Rambo franchise. But Gabrielle finds out who her birth father is. Finds out that the dude is in Mexico. She tells Rambo about it and her grandmother, but both of them are like, nah, don't go to Mexico, dude. It's dangerous down there. There's cartels, there's violence everywhere. It's a martial state. You don't want to go down there. You don't want to go down there. You're gonna get picked up by somebody and you're gonna get yourself hurt and or killed. And of course, being the stereotypical teenager that she is, quote unquote, she decides to go down there anyway. She track down her dad. And of course, when she gets into Mexico, exactly what Rambo and her grandmother said would happen actually happens. She gets found by a sex trafficking cartel. They kidnap her. They start putting her into the sex trafficking circles. And now Rambo finds out, and now he's like, all right, I'm gonna head out. And he goes down there to handle business. And then from there on, it kind of turns into a storyline similar to the movie Taken with Liam Neeson. Kind of like here's the old man who's a badass. I'm gonna go fuck up this entire cartel and I'm gonna rescue my niece. So from there, we get your stereotypical Rambo movie. The latter half of the movie is Rambo being a one-man army, going up against this cartel and just destroying everybody.
You started this. I'll end it.
Aside from the fact that this movie will hit you in the feels, because there are a lot of very tense moments, very emotional moments in this movie, there really isn't anything that special about it. And I'm not saying that as a knock towards this movie, because this was a very good movie and I had a lot of fun with it. I'm just saying, once you get to pretty much the latter half of the movie, it basically becomes a Rambo movie just like any other. You got this brick house built protagonist who's a one-man army who loads himself up and goes on a killing spree against the antagonist. I gotta give the movie credit. It's not a bad movie at all. It's a great movie. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a lot of edge you seat action, but it's pretty much the standard formula for a Rambo movie. Once you get past those initial, here's who everybody is, here's the scenario that's going on, Rambo learns he has to handle business, so he's gonna go in there and he's gonna kick some ass. Now, I will say this, before I give my final review, I will say this about the movie. This is definitely not a movie for the younger generation, and here's why. This franchise has been a continuing story. Each movie leads into the next, And there's a lot of things in each movie that kind of calls out to the previous movie. So the younger generation might go to this movie, and sure, they'll have fun with the action, but they might look at some of the call outs to previous movies, and they might look at this 70-year-old man that somehow is able to kick everybody's ass by himself, and they may think, what's going on? Who is this guy? Wait, who is that person? Wait, why is all this happening? Where did he learn this shit? What the hell's going on? You know, while those of us who grew up in the 80s, who have been watching the franchise for almost the past 40 years, we know who Rambo is. We know that Rambo ain't nothing to fuck with. You know, so we know all these things. So we've come to expect it, and we enjoy the movie for that reason. So for those reasons, I can't really say that this would be something for the younger generation from today to really get into, but it's definitely a movie for the older generation from the 80s and prior. So because of that, the review I want to give this movie is Netflix it. And this is not a negative Netflix it. This is a Netflix it because I feel like this is the type of movie that 80s generation will watch with their kids today in line with the other Rambo movies. Show your kids First Blood, then show them First Blood Part 2, then show them Rambo 3, then show them Rambo 2008 if they haven't seen it already, then show them Last Blood. So that way they learn who Rambo is. They learn what he's all about. They learn what he is capable of doing, learn why he's a badass, and then you can go into Last Blood with a better understanding, and you can enjoy the story and the action a lot more and appreciate it a lot more, I should say. So that's why I give it this rating. It's a Netflix hit. Now I noticed when I was doing my initial research about this movie that the movie was produced by Balboa Productions, which is Sylvester Stallone's own production studio that he started in 2018. What we all know about Stallone is that if he has a passion project that he's really adamant about and that he really wants to work on, he's going to try and get as much story told out of it as he possibly can. I mean, look at the Expendables movies. Look at the Rocky series. A lot of story there. It makes me think that there might be at least 1 or 2 more Rambo movies after this one. But at this point, I mean, what can he do? I mean, it's like all he can really do at this point is crossover type stuff. Like, say, Rambo versus Predator. Or Rambo joins the NCU. Or, you know what? I got an idea for you. Rambo in the Pick of Destiny. There you go. You can have that one, Stallone. You're welcome.